So, when reading the New Testament, but especially when reading the book of Acts, there's a concept that's really important to understand, but that is also kind of hard for us to fathom. And here it is. In the New Testament church, there were two different groups of Christians. There were Christians who were Jewish, and then there were Christians who had never been Jewish. The followers of Jesus who had been Jewish are all over the place. We could include Mary in that list. Peter, Paul, James, John, Mary Magdalene, all the disciples. Remember, Jesus didn't come to start a new religion. He was Jewish. He attended a synagogue his whole life. He went to the Jewish temple over and over again. He was Jewish, as were his family and his first followers. For the church in Jerusalem, after Jesus' death and resurrection, Jesus was considered the fulfillment of the Jewish faith, and therefore, they still considered themselves to be Jewish. They just also happened to be Jews who followed Jesus, their Jewish Messiah. Peter, James, John, and the other disciples continued going to synagogues, and they continued to gather and pray in the Jewish temple. They would observe the Sabbath on the seventh day of the week, Saturday, and then they'd get up on Sunday morning, the day of Jesus' resurrection, and they'd gather to break bread and share wine. But as Acts is the story of the Christian faith expanding into the Gentile or non-Jewish world, we are introduced to Christians who had made the decision to follow Jesus, but who had never been Jewish. In fact, they might not have ever known anything about Judaism. They might not have ever heard a single story of the Old Testament. They certainly didn't keep a kosher diet or practice circumcision. But they had faith in Jesus, in his life, death, and resurrection. They had faith in the way that he had taught them to live. So we have these two different groups of Christians, one generally located in Jerusalem and the other generally located in Greece, Turkey, and Syria. And they all got along, right? No. Specifically, the Jewish Christians raised an important question. Do these non-Jewish Christians first have to become Jewish in order to follow Jesus? Is the Jewish stuff still important? Or is faith in Jesus all one needs? When we read Acts, we're going to see the tensions and arguments that arose over this important issue. In the 15th chapter of Acts, we're going to see the leadership of the church come together to address this issue. And I think what they come up with is pretty radical and surprising and encouraging and inspiring. That's not to say that it settled the issue once and for all, but the way they address the issue could and should help us address similar issues in our own day.